Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome back to the 2024 Summer of Lovecraft. Last week in Eldritch Horror, we won our first game against Azathoth, so now we're up 1-0 in the Summer of Lovecraft this year. Per the house rule for the Summer of Lovecraft, and for Christmas in Arkham incidentally, we're going to start with an extra item, but we'll roll for that when we go through each investigator's possessions. Our goal in this game is to get seals on gate locations by closing gates on the board. We win when we get either 6 seals on the board, or no gates on the board, and gate trophies equal to the number of investigators. We can lose in a few different ways, but we'll detail those when we start getting closer. Anyway, first up, let's go meet the Arkham Horror 2nd edition of Azathoth, along with the Herald that we're playing against today. Thanks to the planned game of Pandemic Reign of Cthulhu a couple of weeks ago, our opponent for the Summer of Lovecraft this year is the Blind Idiot God, the Daemon Sultan Azathoth. We'll take a look at Azathoth's Ancient One sheet. We need 14 Doom to wake him up, and we'll be putting Doom up with each open gate. Azathoth, Absolute Destruction. If Azathoth awakens, game is over, the investigators lose. Worshippers. Since Azathoth promises nothing except destruction, only the insane worship him. However, their fanaticism gives them strength. Maniacs have their toughness increased by 1. And attack? Very simple. The end is here. Azathoth destroys the world. How fun. And then the Herald we're playing against today is the Lurker at the Threshold. The all-in-one and one-in-all. When the Lurker at the Threshold is the Herald, at the start of the game, shuffle the Reckoning deck and place it by the Herald sheet. Then place the Dark Pact cards near the Herald sheet and create a pool of power tokens. They're not exactly near the Herald per se, but they are in the supply, so we will be using those. Anyway, the way the Lurker modifies the game, first by rites of magic. When an investigator casts a spell, she may accept the Lurker at the Threshold's aid. If she does, she reduces the sanity cost of the spell to 0 and automatically passes the spell check, but must immediately take a Blood Pact, Soul Pact, or Bound Ally and follow its instructions. She must then draw and resolve a Reckoning card. Note: an investigator may never have more than one of each kind of Dark Pact, and may not accept the Lurker of the Threshold's aid if she already has one of each kind of Dark Pact. And then there's Ever-Present Temptation. At the start of any turn, an investigator may make a pact with the Lurker at the Threshold. If she does so, she takes a Blood Pact, Soul Pact, or a Bound Ally card and follows its instructions. An investigator may take more than one type of Dark Pact on her turn, but may never have more than one of each type of Dark Pact. Note: don't draw and resolve a Reckoning card when you take a Dark Pact at the start of a turn. And then the one beyond. Every time a gate opens, draw and resolve a Reckoning card. Don't draw and resolve a Reckoning card for the gate that opens at the start of the game, and they shall break through again. Investigators receive -1 to fight and lore checks to close or seal gates. So when you hear me talk about gates being such and such difficulty because of the Lurker, that's what I'm looking at. So, for instance, Relay being a -3 gate, you'll hear me say, okay, Relay's actually a -4 gate because of the Lurker at the Threshold. That's where I'm going with that. So no need to put in the comments down below that such and such gate is actually -3 when I'm saying it's really 1 lower. It's because of They Shall Break Through Again that I'm going through it. I'm saying a gate is 1 difficulty lower. I just want to get that cleared up out of the way right off the bat. So that's the Ancient One and the Herald setup. Next, let's go through the ladies, and first up, we'll go to our first lead investigator, being Agnes. Here we've got Agnes Baker, the waitress. 5 health and 5 sanity. We won't go through the backstories just because I've already got the sanity and health laid out for everybody. So I don't want to pick that up and put it back down again. Anyway, we'll go through special abilities though. Memories of Conquest first up. During any phase, when Agnes casts a spell that provides a bonus to combat checks, the spell adds the number of hands it requires to its combat check bonus. And blood is power. When paying a spell's sanity cost, Agnes may spend sanity for part or all of the sanity cost on a 1-for-1 basis. You can see her stat lines down there. We've got speed and sneak together, fight and will, and lore and luck. For fixed possessions, she gets $5, 3 clue tokens, and a spell Wither. So let's go through Wither. Casting modifier +0, sanity cost 0, magical phase. Any phase. Cast an exhaust to gain +3 to combat checks until the end of this combat. Except because it takes a hand slot, that'll actually be a +4 to combat checks for Agnes. So, now for her random possessions, Agnes has a common item, a unique item, a spell, and a skill. So let's look at her common item first. Her common item says, a carbine rifle, physical weapon. Any phase, exhaust before making a combat check to gain +5 to that check. And it's a hand slot, so Agnes is actually very well set up for monster punching right now. Then for her unique item, she's got a healing stone. Upkeep, you may gain 1 stamina or 1 sanity. Discard healing stone if the Ancient One awakens. Oh my, that's actually going to be very strong with blood as power. Then for her spell, she's got Summon the Beast Within. Casting modifier -2, sanity cost 0. Upkeep, you may cast an exhaust to take an Inner Beast special card. If this card is exhausted at the start of your upkeep phase, you don't have to refresh it. Let's go take a look at what Inner Beast is, because I may end up wanting to cast that right away. Inner Beast says it's a magical effect. +1 maximum stamina, -2 maximum sanity, +2 to combat checks. Movement, you receive 1 extra movement point. Discard this card if your Summon the Beast Within is refreshed or leaves your possession. Ooh. We actually may try to cast that right away. That doesn't even take a hand slot. Oh my. That could be very useful. And that is during the upkeep phase. Okay, yep. Alright, and then the spell and the skill Agnes has is Luck. +1 Luck. When you spend a clue token to add to any luck check, add 1 extra bonus die. That could be very useful. We won't reveal the relationship card here until we go through Agnes's relationship partner, but let's take a look at her personal story. She could sense it. The creature that destroyed her once before had returned to repeat the job. Last time she faced it, she was at the peak of her powers. This time, she only had a few half-remembered spells and a couple of useful items. Hopefully, she could find its weakness before it claimed her life once again. The Destroyer. If Agnes has 3 or more monster trophies, place Not This Time in play. If Agnes is knocked unconscious or driven insane, place History Repeats in play. But we also need to roll for Agnes's extra item per the rules of the Summer of Lovecraft, and that's what the Dice Tower is doing in Shot. 1 to 2 will give her an extra common item, 3 to 4 will give her an extra unique item, 5 to 6 will give her a spell. That's a 6, so that'll give her an extra spell. So for Agnes's new spell, she will find Storm of Spirits. Oh, wow. Casting modifier -1, sanity cost 0, 2 hands. Any phase, cast an exhaust to gain +3 to combat checks and to use lore instead of fight until the end of this combat. Oh, wow. That could be very useful because that would actually give her lore instead. For now, I'm going to start with Wither and Carbine Rifle in her hands, but we do have options for that. Anyway, that's it for Agnes. Now let's move over and meet her relationship partner in this game. I'm going to amend that last statement I made slightly about meeting Agnes's relationship partner, because each investigator will actually have 2 relationships throughout the course of the game. They'll have one with the investigator to their left and to their right. So Jenny will have a relationship card with Agnes and with the next investigator that we go through. So our next investigator is Jenny Barnes. 6 sanity, 4 stamina. As for her fixed possessions, she starts off with $10 and a trust fund on upkeep. And let's get some practice now with this, kids. Say it with me. Upkeep phase, Jenny gains $1. We're going to be hearing that a lot during this game. So if we can, Well, there's one relationship in particular I'm hoping goes in one of these directions, but we'll find that out soon enough. So, for random possessions, Jenny has 2 common items, a unique item, a spell, and a skill. So let's see what Jenny's first common possession is. It's a telescope. +1 to sneak checks, but not to evade checks. Any phase she can discard telescope to avoid being delayed. Okay, next up, we have kerosene. Any phase, exhaust before making a combat check to gain +4 to that check. Upkeep, kerosene does not refresh unless you spend $1. So we could very easily say, upkeep phase, Jenny spends her trust fund $1 to refresh kerosene, but I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself because we still have more possessions to go through. Next up for her unique item, Colt de Ghoul. Movement phase. Exhaust and spend 2 movement points to make a lore -1 check. Or more lore -2 check. If you pass, draw 1 spell and gain a clue token, but lose 2 sanity and discard Colt de Ghoul. If you fail, nothing happens. Speaking of her spell, Jenny has Markings of Isis. Casting modifier special, sanity cost is 0. Any phase. Cast an exhaust to pass a horror check. The casting modifier is equal to the monster's horror rating. That'll make more sense. Actually, when we go through the first gate and get the first monster with it, I'll point out where the horror rating is for Markings of Isis. Then for Jenny's skill, she has Strong Will. Any phase. After making any horror check, spend 2 clue tokens to add 1 success to the result. You may do this as often as you like. Okay. Then Jenny's personal story. She was just off the train here in Arkham, and already Jenny hated this town. Of course, she'd had a few weeks on the trip from Paris to build the hate and fear. In truth, Arkham doesn't seem as bad in person as it did in her imagination. The gabled roofs and New England architecture were actually fairly charming, and the people didn't seem too horrified, or seemed too horrid, until she started asking questions, that is. And of course, we all know what brings Jenny to Arkham, her lost sister, Isabel. If Jenny is at the unvisited isle during the upkeep phase, she may spend 5 clue tokens to place Reunited in play. If the terror level reaches 3 or higher, place Too Late in play for the fail. So I'm actually going to put a marker on terror level 3. Let's put a Doom token there just to remind me that, hey, something happens in addition to the usual, but I want to have a visual reminder on the board when something like that happens. Because you guys know in Eldritch Horror, I like to put a rumor token on space 6 of the Doom track, because when personal stories fail based on Doom, that's usually the number where that happens. But I'm getting very rambly on that. First, we need to roll for Jenny's extra possession. Same parameters as we had for Agnes. But a different result. That'll give her a common item. So Jenny will find an Athame, physical weapon. +1 to combat checks. +3 instead if the opponent has magical resistance. +6 instead if the opponent has magical immunity. Okay, so that's something good to know. And then we need to reveal Jenny's relationship with Agnes. So Jenny and Agnes. Take me instead. While you and your partner are in the same location or street area, anytime either of you loses sanity, or loses stamina, or is arrested, cursed, or delayed, the other may choose to suffer the effects instead. If the Ancient One has awakened, this card may not be used. Of course, if the Ancient One awakens, game just ends on the spot, so we do need to be aware of that. Anyway, that's it for Jenny. Now let's go meet our next investigator and Jenny's other relationship partner. Our third investigator in this game is Carolyn Fern, the psychologist. Once again, 6 sanity, 4 stamina, so we're a little light on stamina on this team. So far, the highest is Agnes at 5. And I forgot to mention home locations. Agnes is in Velma's Diner, Jenny starts at the train station, Carolyn starts at Arkham Asylum. Psychology is Carolyn's special ability. Upkeep. Dr. Fern may restore 1 sanity to herself or another character in her location. She can't raise a character's sanity higher than that character's maximum sanity. Fixed possessions, $7 and 1 clue token. Random possessions, Carolyn starts off with 2 unique items, 2 common items, and a skill. I don't want to go too far with the dice tower. First up for her unique items, Carolyn finds Elder Sign Pendant, Mythos Phase, discard to prevent a monster surge. Instead, 1 monster, or 2 if there are 5 or more players, appear at the gate indicated on the Mythos card. And Shrine to an Elder God, oh joy. When you gain this card, choose a street area in Arkham and place this card there. Any investigator ending her movement in that street area may spend stamina up to her focus. For every stamina spent, the investigator gains a sanity. So where are we going to place this on the board? This has to be a street area. I think we're going to place this in... Where do I think we're going a lot? I wish this wasn't coming up during setup. But I think I'll put it in Rivertown streets. Okay. Then for her unique or for her common items, Carolyn first up will have Lucky Rabbit's Foot, any phase. Exhaust to gain +1 to a luck check. During the Arkham Encounter phase, after you draw an encounter card, exhaust and discard Lucky Rabbit's Foot to draw a different encounter card. Along with a 357 Magnum. Physical weapon. Any phase. Exhaust to gain +5 to combat checks until the end of this combat. Upkeep. 357 Magnum does not refresh unless you spend $1. Alright, and then Carolyn's skill will find Speed. +1 speed. When you spend a clue token to add to any speed check, add 1 extra bonus die. So Carolyn is always guaranteed to have at least 1 move, even when her skill slider is as low as it can go. Let's go through her personal story next. Carolyn Fern. Carolyn Fern read over the frustratingly obtuse paperwork in her room. Getting records from Arkham Asylum had turned into a bureaucratic nightmare. It was going to take a hefty amount of bribery to grease the wheels. But even as she filled in all the blanks, she worried that she was too close to whatever it was that had killed her patient. It wasn't safe to be here. And then we've got Final Analysis. Pass. If Carolyn is at Arkham Asylum during the upkeep phase, she may spend $15 to place Cured into play. Fail. If Carolyn has 6 or more clue tokens, place Followed in play. Now, I should mention that when we... This will make more sense when we... Actually, we'll talk about that when we take a pact. But there is something as part of Lurker, the threshold that we can use as clues actually don't count as clues. Like I said, that'll make more sense when it becomes relevant. Anyway, Carolyn will now roll for her extra item per the house rules of the Summer of Lovecraft. And Carolyn will end up with a unique item. So Carolyn is another unique item we'll find. Dragon's Eye. Any phase. Exhaust and lose 1 sanity after drawing a gate or location card to draw a new card in its place. That could be useful if we need to keep a dangerous gate or a particularly bad card from coming out. Anyway, that's it for Carolyn. Now let's go meet our last investigator. Our last investigator is Trish Scarborough, the spy. Once again, 6 sanity, 4 stamina, so Agnes is going to be our high stamina character at 5. Fixed possessions starts at the newspaper. Fixed possessions, $4, 2 clue tokens, and a common item in the lucky cigarette case. Any phase, we can discard the lucky cigarette case to re-roll a skill check. Alright, random possessions. Trish has 2 common items, 2 unique items, and a skill. So first up for the common items, we find a telescope. Jenny has one as well. We won't go through that again. And a dark cloak, +1 to evade checks. Then for 2 unique items, Trish finds, first up, an enchanted knife, +3 to combat checks on a one-handed weapon, and purifying the town. Oh, I hate these. Mission. It's a mission. We have to spend an upkeep phase in the police station, the newspaper, Yield Magic Shop, and then South Church sacrificing a spell along the way. But the effect, all rumor cards in play and in the Mythos deck are returned to the box. And then for Trish's skill, we'll find another luck, which Agnes also has. Then for her personal, actually, let's do her personal story, then we'll roll for her extra possession, then we'll reveal her relationships. Trish Scarborough. Am I actually working for the government, or is the agency using me to undermine the real government? That was the key question that Trish set out to answer when she came to Arkham. Hopefully, she would find her answers in the archives of the Arkham Advertiser. But if not, perhaps she could try Miskatonic University. Who's in charge? Pass. If Trish gains 2 or more clue tokens at the same time during an encounter, place Exposed to Light in play. Fail. If 2 or more clue tokens are removed from the board by an opening gate at the same time, place Shadows into play. So basically we need to babysit removing too many clue tokens from the board. Anyway, now we're going to roll for Trish's starting possessions. For her extra possession, I should say. A 3 will give her an extra unique item as well. So Trish will find a Cursed Sphere, magical weapon. Any phase, exhaust and spend either 1 stamina or 1 sanity before making a combat check to gain +6 to that check. Sorry, got a frog in my throat. So now we're pretty well decked out on firepower, I think. Now we need to reveal Trish's relationships. She's going to have one with... Actually, I never revealed for Jenny and Carolyn, so let's back up a second. Jenny and Carolyn's relationship. I'll vouch for my friend. After initial setup, anytime you or your partner gains a bank loan, retainer, Silver Twilight Lodge membership, Sheldon Gang membership, Rail Pass, or one of the 1,000 cult membership, the other may choose to take a card of the same type if she does not already have one. Okay, so those two are basically networked connections. As for Trish's relationships, Trish and Carolyn are collectors. After the initial setup, anytime either you or your partner gains 1 or more common or unique items from any game effect other than this card, the other may draw a random card of the same type and purchase it for the list price. Now, one thing I want to talk about before we get into there, you may have seen this in previous videos, but when I've gotten multiple investigators at the Curiosity Shop or the general store, you may see me pool money among the investigators. Like, say we find an elder sign between, let's just say Jenny and Agnes as an example. Say it's Agnes's turn, and we draw an elder sign out of the deck. Agnes is a little short to being able to purchase it, but Jenny's there. As long as there's no monster in the space, I do have a house rule where I can pool money between investigators, because it doesn't make sense to me when you're on the same team that you wouldn't be able to share money back and forth. So it's kind of a house rule that Agnes would be able to look to Jenny and be like, hey, can you slip me a couple bucks for this? And of course Jenny would do that, being as they're on the same mission to save the world. But I won't do that with collectors, because to me, it just doesn't make sense to do it in the same way. Now, if Carolyn and Trish were on the same space, I would consider that, because again, the same rule would apply there. But that's just kind of my thinking there. Anyway, Trish and Agnes's relationship. World ain't big enough for us. If you or your partner is in an otherworld location, either of you may exhaust this card before making a check to gain +1 on that check. If the Ancient One has awakened, this card may not be used. Okay, so I think that's everything set up. You may notice I haven't put any skill sliders out, because I will be setting that during the first upkeep phase of the game. But we're all set up with the investigators over here, so let's move over to the board and finish setup over there. As you can see, we've got very heavy coverage on this half of the board. Agnes is down here at Velma's Diner, Carolyn's up at Arkham Asylum, Jenny's at the train station, and Trish is at the newspaper. We definitely don't have a lot of coverage on this side of the board, and that's going to be where we need to babysit clues. So let's draw our first Mythos card, and as long as it's not a rumor, we can start with it. It is not a rumor. Okay. So our first gate is going to go to Hibbs's Roadhouse. I'm going to shortcut the clue, moving to Independence Square. So gate bag is over here. I always play with the lurker gates as well for whatever expansion I'm using, and this game will be no exception. So the gate's going to Gibbs's Roadhouse. I'll try to bring it out the right side. So we've got a normal gate. This is going to another dimension. It's a -1 gate. It's normally +0, but again, -1 because they shall break through again. So that goes to Hibbs's Roadhouse. And then we need a monster to go with it. Which brings us to the monster bag. All right, the monster we're pulling out. Oh, great. There's an Elder Thing. -2 to sneak past. It's a diamond monster. You may have seen a square icon on the another dimension gate. That will make more sense when we actually talk about the gates closing. When you fail a combat check against an Elder Thing, you must discard one of your weapons or spells if able. -3 on the horror check or lose 2 sanity. +0 on the combat check or lose a health if you fail. 2 toughness to kill it. Now, you may remember from Markings of Isis with Jenny, cast an exhaust to pass a horror check. The casting modifier is equal to the monster's horror rating. So for an Elder Thing, Jenny would have to have a -3 modifier to automatically pass a horror check against the Elder Thing. That will go to Hibbs's Roadhouse. We need a Doom for Azathoth, and we don't draw a gate, or we don't draw a Reckoning card for this gate. We've already moved the clue to Independence Square, which is the clue appears at. Then we do monster movement. Pluses would move on white, moon moves on black, but since the Elder Thing is a diamond monster, it doesn't move. And we've got an environment. Weather. Raining cats and dogs. Speed checks in Arkham are made at a -1 penalty, and players receive 1 less movement point during the movement phase. Sneak checks in Arkham are made at a +1 bonus. Return any fire vampires in play to the cup. If a fire vampire enters play, return it to the cup and draw a different monster. So we're already getting doused. Delightful. But that is our first clue. That is our first gate out. Azathoth got his first Doom of 14 that he needs. So let's move into our first upkeep phase, and we'll go right back to the investigators to say hello to Agnes. During the first upkeep phase of the game, you can set your skill sliders anywhere you want them. I'm going to set Agnes's lore luck to 6 because I am planning on casting Summon the Beast Within. Now that I see that we're raining cats and dogs already, I'm going to set her fight will at 1-3 just because I've got a lot of firepower here and potentially more coming. Her speed sneak is going to go to 3-1 as I'm hoping that Summon the Beast Within is going to work. But during upkeep phase, let's go ahead and cast it. I'm rolling a lore check on a spell, which I set it to 6. -2 for the casting modifier for Summon the Beast Within is 4. And Agnes does successfully cast it. I needed a 5 or a 6. And you can see I'm using special dice that have the 5 and the 6 marked as successes. I've also got cursed dice, which only the 6 is marked as a success, along with blessed dice where the 4 is also marked. The cursed dice are in red, and the blessed dice are in blue. So we looked at Inner Beast earlier. So +1 maximum stamina, -2 maximum sanity. So Agnes is now down to a 3 sanity maximum. It's a little bit of a gamble to do this, but I figured the extra speed could be useful. So the question now is, where am I sending Agnes? I could send her straight into Hibbs's Roadhouse. What's the horror check on that? Elder Thing? She would lose 2 sanity on that. So I think Did we say that's a minus? So Agnes would actually auto-fail the horror check there because I can't get her will high enough. And then Healing Stone, we can also gain a stamina to immediately go up to Agnes's maximum, a new maximum of 6. So now I've got to decide what I'm doing with Agnes. I've got to remember that I've only got 2 movement points. Yeah, actually, it's probably not a terrible idea to try to keep Gates under control right off the jump. So, fortunately, we've got our double clues at Independence Square, which Carolyn should be able to get her speed high enough to go get this round. Oh yeah, she can get her speed high enough to get those. But I do want to start moving toward the south of the board, though, just in case we have anything happen with clues moving down there and then getting gobbled up. So I think for now, I don't want to risk Agnes getting lost in time and space right away, especially since he's going to auto-fail the horror check against the Elder thing. So no, I think we are just going to move her down to the south. We'll probably send her to the graveyard of the Black Cave to gobble up one of those clues. I think that's what we're going to do with her, because those are fairly high-frequency gates as well. Anyway, that will do it for Agnes. Now let's move over to Jenny. Say it with me, kids. Upkeep phase. Jenny gets $1. And I think for her skill sliders, I've got to remember that we're at a -1 movement, that we get 1 less movement point. So if I want to send Jenny shopping right away, which trying to get an Elder Sign would not be a terrible idea at all, or a little more magical weaponry. So we're going to set her Speed Sneak there. Fight Will is going to go to 2-4, and Lower Luck we're going to go middle of the road at 3-3. So yep, Jenny's got enough movement points to get to the Curiosity Shop, so we are all set there. Now let's move over to Carolyn. That +1 speed is going to be very helpful for Carolyn. Her +1 speed skill is going to be very helpful, because I can set her Speed Sneak at 2-1 and still have enough movement speed, to go get those 2 clues at Independence Square, because I don't want to be careful about how many clues I send Carolyn to gather, because remember, 6 or more fails her personal story, so I want to be very careful about that. Fightin' Will is going to go to 2-3. Lower Luck's going to go to 4-3. I do want to leave Agnes somewhat close to Hibbs' Roadhouse, because anytime we want to go up and get that gate, that's probably not going to be a terrible idea to do that. So that will do it for Carolyn. Now let's move over to Trish. I don't think I ever went through Trish's special ability, so let's take a look at that. Trish has Abnormal Focus. On the upkeep phase, Trish does not spend focus to adjust her sliders. Instead, at the start of each upkeep phase, we'll move her sliders all the way to the left. She may then shift her sliders to the right, a total of 5 shifts. Breaking the limits. On the upkeep phase, Trish may spend 1 sanity or 1 stamina for 1 extra shift to the right when adjusting her skills. She may do this up to 3 times per turn. And her skills are laid out a little bit differently from the other ladies. She's got her Fight and Sneak together, her Lore and Will together, and her Speed and Luck together. So, I think we're going to go... What is Trish going to do? I think I'm going to start her moving south a little bit as well, so we can, again, keep some coverage on those clues. So I'm going to set her Speed Luck at 4. Looks like we got a loose hair of something on there, so we'll set her Speed Luck at 4-3. Then we're going to set her Fight Sneak at 3-5. And her Lore Will is going to go to 3-2. That will do it for Trish. That'll do it for the upkeep phase. We go into the Arkham Encounter phase next. And let's move over to... Actually, the movement phase next. Let's move over to the board. And I think we can get all 4 ladies and their destinations in shot. And we can get all 4 ladies with destinations in shot. Let me bring the You bring the light over just a little bit further to the left side light over a little bit further. Hopefully that looks a little bit better. Anyway, Agnes is up first. She's going to move 1 to the Easttown streets, 2 to the Rivertown streets, and 3 will go to the graveyard and grab the clue here. She normally would have 4 movement points thanks to Inner Beast, but because it's raining cats and dogs, she's only got 3 right now. Jenny likewise would normally have 3, reduced down to 2. Jenny will move 1 to the north side streets, 2 to the Curiosity Shop. She's going shopping. Carolyn, but we'll explain more about how that works during the Arkham Encounter phase. Carolyn is going to move 1 to downtown streets and 2 to Independence Square to grab the 2 clues here. So Carolyn's at 3 clues. We need to be careful, though, because 3 more clues will fail her personal story. As for Trish, she's got 4 reduced down to 3. So she's going to move 1 to North Side streets, 2 to the Merchant District streets, 3 to the Unnameable, and grab this clue. Which we still have everybody in shot, so I think we can probably put the Dice Tower in the middle. But we'll move into the Arkham Encounter phase, and we'll start off first with Agnes. It was a little bit of a pain adjusting the Dice Tower so we could see Jenny up at the Curiosity Shop. Her encounter, of course, won't require the Dice Tower, but the other 3 almost certainly will. So Agnes will start off with her first. She's down here at the graveyard, which is going to require the purple deck, which I have right here. So we'll give this a shuffle. And a cut, and we'll draw this card. So Agnes is at the graveyard. You fall into an open grave and land upon a corpse that you're certain is not human. Lose a sanity, but gain a clue token. All right, so Agnes will lose a sanity, bringing her down to 2 because of Inner Beast. But she will gain another clue token. That'll bring Agnes up to 5, and if the Elder thing wasn't there, we could send her into the gate. So that's it for Agnes' encounter. Jenny's got text on her location that says, instead of having an encounter here, you may draw 3 unique items and purchase one of them for its list price. Discard the other 2 items. So Jenny will be doing that. I'm hoping for either an Elder Sign or some magical weaponry here. But let's see what we draw here. So first up, Jenny will find Petrifying Solution, physical weapon, +8 to combat checks, discard after use. This weapon ignores physical resistance and endless special abilities. I'll talk more about how resistance works, about how those abilities work when they become relevant. Next up, joining a winning team. That's called a yeah right. Well, maybe not. Mission, St. Mary's Hospital, Arkham Asylum, South Church, Lost in Time and Space. Sacrifice 1 ally. Effect, you win the game, any other investigators lose the game. That seems really dumb to me, because it seems like you should win or lose on the same team. And Golden Sword of Yahatala, magical weapon, any phase. Exhaust before making a combat check to gain +5 to that check for $6, and it's a one-handed weapon. I think Jenny here, yep, she is going to take the Golden Sword of Yahatala for $6. So she goes down to 5. But we get another magical weapon that we can pass around, that we can pass out to somebody. Well, we got another weapon. I don't know if it's going to be passed out. Actually, we are pretty well... Once Jenny gets another weapon passed out, we'll be pretty well stocked up on firepower. Which means now it'll be a matter of just looking for Elder Signs. Anyway, Carolyn is at Independence Square, which, once I get the purple deck out, that will require the white deck. We'll give this a shuffle as well. And a cut. And here's Carolyn's encounter at Independence Square. She will find. The gazebo seems to swell with menace and you dare not approach. Make a will -2 check or move to the street. Okay, Carolyn's will right now is a 3 -2. She's only going to have 1 die at this. Rerolling the 6. Which is a 6, so we avoid bad stuff, so we don't move to the street. That's very welcome. Nicely done, Carolyn. Trish is over at the Unnameable, which is going to require the green deck. Which I have that right here. So we'll give that a shuffle. And a cut. And let's see what Trish's encounter is at the Unnameable. The house calls to you. If you follow its voice, it tells you which floorboards to pry up. You may draw 1 unique item or exhibit item, but must also take the Tainted card if it's available. Let's look and see what the Tainted card is. Upkeep. When rolling to determine whether or not you keep a blessing or curse card, you must roll twice and take the worst of the two rolls. Discard this card if you're knocked unconscious. So we just don't get Trish blessed or cursed. I think we can deal with that for a unique item. Let's see what Trish finds as her unique item. She finds Gladius of Carcosa, magical weapon, +4 to combat checks, +5 instead if your other hand is empty. I would say that was worth it. Actually, if we can get Trish and Carolyn together, I could probably pass the Cursed Sphere off to Carolyn because she'll actually be able to chain that together very nicely with her psychology because I can spend the sanity to use the Cursed Sphere and then immediately recover the sanity on the next upkeep phase. So I think that's going to be the plan. I'm going to try to pass that off to Carolyn. But that's it for Trish. That's it for the Arkham Encounter phase. We'll blow through the Otherworld Encounter phase because we've got nobody in another world right now. So now let's move back up top for the Mythos phase. Card from the Deck of Doom says, "Oh boy, this could be a problem. Gate opening at Independence Square." So let's see where Carolyn's going to be pulled through to. It's good. It's actually kind of good that Carolyn's getting pulled through now, but I'll explain why. I'll explain why when we get into the movement. Well, I shouldn't jump to conclusions on that, but let's see what happens here. I'm going to try to bring that out flat side up. There we are. We've got a lurker gate, and the reason I can tell that is because of the purple back on here. So Carolyn's going. Oh no, this is a big problem. She's going to the split gate with the Abyss and Relay. It's a -4, -5 gate because of the lurker. So, yeah, about that being a good gate to go to. So Carolyn is going to... She's going to the Abyss because those encounters are likely to be less punishing. We need a Doom. Actually, we'll use 2 Doom here for a second. I'll use 1 to remind me that Carolyn got pulled through, even though that's not ultimately going to matter. We'll put a Doom on Azathoth. We'll put a monster up, and then we need to draw a Reckoning. Alright, so that is Occultist. -3 to try to sneak past. It's a moon monster. Yeah. Cthulhu Fatagan. Funglui Mungwal Nfa Cthulhu Relay Ngal Fatagan. That was my horrible try at Lovecraftian gibberish. No horror check on that. +1 on a combat check or lose one health, 1 toughness to kill it. So that's guarding the split gate. Seems a little weak of a monster to be guarding that split gate. Alright, clue appears at the unnameable, except that's going to land straight away in Trish's pocket. So now she's got 4 clues. Alright, then hexagon would move on white, slash, triangle, and star moves on diamond, none of which are on the board. We will draw a reckoning card once we get done with this card. Strange tremors cease. Headline. All Chthonians and Doles in Arkham are returned to the cup. If at least one monster returns to the cup, raise the terror level by 1, except no monsters return to the cup. So we're all clear there, and then we need a reckoning card from the gate opening. So here we will find... Turning on one another. Discard 1 ally from the ally deck for each bound ally card in play. For each ally that you can't discard, because the deck is empty, increase the terror level by 1. Joke's on Azathoth, though we haven't taken any bound allies yet, so we are all clear there. That's it for the Mythos phase. Jenny becomes our first player, and we move into a new upkeep phase, starting with Jenny. Say it with me, kids. Upkeep phase, Jenny gets $1. Question is, what do I want her to do this turn? That is a good question. Since it's still raining cats and dogs, there isn't really much we can do right now. I'm going to have to leave her speed as is to give her any hope of moving anywhere. I think I want to start moving her south on the board. Unfortunately, the furthest I'm going to be able to get there is the Merchant District street, so Jenny's going to end up not having an encounter, which may be the best thing we can do here. Anyway, that will do it for Jenny. Now let's move over to Carolyn. Carolyn would be able to use her psychology now, but she doesn't have, she doesn't have any sanity that she's lost. Anyway, all she's going to be doing on this phase is standing up in the abyss, so it's not an entirely terrible thing that she got pulled through during the Mythos phase. If she would have gotten pulled through during the Arkham Encounter phase, she would have had to have 3 encounters in the abyss. She'd have 1 during the Otherworld Encounter phase of the same round. Then during the Otherworld Encounter phase of this round, she'd be still in the first half of the abyss. Then she'd move over and have an encounter in the second half before leaving. So this way, she only has to spend 2 rounds in the other world rather than the normal 3. So hopefully in that ramble, that all made sense. Anyway, I'm going to leave Carolyn's stats as... this is not great at all. I'm going to leave them as is. We're going to have to spend clues just to get rolls on trying to close the gate, because even if we max her lore out, she's not going to have any dice on the relay gate, so she's going to have to spend 1 just for a shot at trying to close the gate. Actually, hold on, I'm an idiot, because I could have spent the... Let's do that instead. Let's spend the Dragon's Eye and lose a sanity after drawing a gate or location to draw a gate in its place. So we're going to spend the sanity. I'm not going too far with that. Let's see where Carolyn's actually going to end up. She's still going to end up pulled through anyway. Let's see where she ends up instead. I totally forgot I had the Dragon's Eye, so backing up slightly to the Mythos phase. Alright, it's a regular gate, so this one's going to another dimension. So it's a +0 gate. So hold the thought on everything I said about the Abyss and Relay. So this gets returned to the bag. I was backing up slightly during the upkeep phase, so Carolyn's actually in another dimension, which is going to be a lot easier to deal with. So now in the upkeep phase, Carolyn will refresh the Dragon's Eye, keep her sanity, and heal her sanity. So hold everything I was saying about the Abyss and Relay. I was looking at that being a devastating gate, but then I forgot, oh wait, I've got the Dragon's Eye where I can potentially audible that off. So in that ramble, now Carolyn's instead in another dimension. Same thing about being delayed still applies though. So that will do it for Carolyn. Now let's move over to Trish. We're not quite ready to move over to Trish yet, because I pulled another oopsie and forgot about Carolyn's relationship with Trish. Because Trish gained a unique item in the Gladius of Carcosa, so Carolyn gets to draw a unique item as well, and gets to draw a unique item as well and buy it for list price. So Carolyn will find a Staff of the Pharaoh, +3 to combat checks on a magical weapon. Any phase, exhaust to cast a spell as if both of your hands are free. That's a $5 item though. I think we're going to pass on that, because the only one who's got spells is Agnes, and she's going to have an easy enough time casting. Well, yeah, she's going to have an easy enough time casting those without her hands free. So that's it for Carolyn. Now we're ready to move over to Trish. Now we're going to see how Trish's abnormal focus actually works. So she's going to move all of her sliders all the way to the left. Then she can move them a total of 5 shifts. But the question is, where do I think I'm going with that? And I think we're going to send her down. I have to remember that it's still raining cats and dogs. So I think we're going to send her down to the science building. Try to get that clue down there. That'll give her 5, and then we can send her into a gate in that portion of the board. So let's start off by moving her speed luck up to 4-3. For the others, we're going to go middle of the road with those, a total of 5 shifts. So we're going to go Lore and Will to 3-2, Fight and Sneak up to 2-4. That'll do it for Trish. Now let's move over to Agnes. Agnes is not going to refresh summon the beast within, because I want her to keep her inner beast. But I think we're going to send her up to the Black Cave to grab that clue. So I think that'll be the plan there for her. So I'm going to leave her movement sliders. She's got 2 focus. We'll move her Fight Will up to 2-2. We'll do it like that. That will do it for Agnes. That'll do it for the upkeep phase. Movement phase next, and let's go say hello to Jenny. We can get the Arkham investigators along with their destinations in shot. So we're going to do that for the sake of the shot. Pretend here that Carolyn's going to go between Jenny and Trish. Jenny is going to move 1 to the north side streets, 2 to the Merchant District streets, and then because of raining cats and dogs, Jenny's actually stuck in the Merchant District streets. She doesn't have the extra speed to get to. She doesn't have the extra speed to get into the Unnameable or the Unvisited Isle for a clue, potentially. As for Trish, who do I think I'm getting together first? Do I think I'm going to get Trish and Carolyn together? Or do I think I'm going to get Jenny and Carolyn together first? I guess that depends on where I think. Those are both another dimension gates, so we do have some options there. We'll probably have to send. Actually, that's a different. I don't think we can get Agnes up there, because I didn't even think about the possibility of moving her to. We wouldn't be able to get her there anyway. But I think. So, okay. We're going to stick with Agnes' plan to go to the Black Cave, but if Raining Cats and Dogs goes away, sending her up to Independence Square to try to get that gate wouldn't be a terrible idea. Anyway, back to my question of who I think I'm getting together first out of Jenny and Carolyn or Trish and Carolyn. I think I'm probably getting Jenny and Carolyn together first. So Trish for Action 1 is going to move up to the Merchant District streets, say hey to Jenny, and then Trish is going to give Jenny the Cursed Sphere to give to Carolyn. Then Trish is going to move 2 to Miskatonic University streets, 3 to the Science Building, and grab the clue. So that'll give Trish 5, and we can send her into a gate as well. As for Agnes, she's going to move 1 to the Rivertown streets, 2 to the Black Cave, and grab the clue there. So now she's got a reroll on her gate. That'll do it for the Arkham investigators. Let's go say hello next to Carolyn in another dimension. I did shortcut the shot a bit, but Carolyn's actually going second in the round during the movement phase. Of course, her turn is super eventful. Carolyn stands up in another dimension. Wow, totally pivotal to the game. But that will do it for the movement phase. Arkham Encounter phase next, and I think once again, we can get all of our Arkham ladies in shot. And the dice tower's in shot too. You may be noticing some different shots. I'm kind of playing around with this a little bit. I've actually got a personal sized table that I'm using to play around with some of these shots of keeping the camera up a little bit higher than I normally do. Actually, it's probably not too much. Well, normally I'd have the tripod on the floor, but I think I'm playing around with the shot a little bit. We'll see. Maybe you guys aren't noticing anything different from the shots I normally have. But it almost seems like the camera here is just a touch higher than it normally is when the tripod is all the way on the floor. You guys can tell me in the comments section below, A, if you notice a difference at all, and B, if you do, what you think of the new shot. Anyway, Jenny is in the Merchant District streets. Actually, let's grab the laser pointer so you guys can see it more easily. Jenny is up in the Merchant District streets, so she has no encounter. Trish is over at the university, however. There is text here where instead of having an encounter, she can spend 5 toughness worth of monster trophies or a gate trophy to gain to gain 2 clue tokens. Wow. But since Trish doesn't have either of those, she's having a university encounter, which is going to require the yellow deck. Wow, apparently I'm tongue-tied today. We'll give this a shuffle. Admittedly, it is a little bit of a weird angle to have the camera up this high, but I don't think it really changes too much. Because again, I'm normally having to work around the camera anyway. It's just maybe having the arm be a little bit more in the way. It does give me a convenient place to put decks and stuff down, but the university for Trish says... Actually, that's not the university, that is the science building. Okay. The professor has set up an experiment to transfer knowledge from one person to another. You may choose another investigator and give him one of your skills. He must then give you a different skill back, or she must then give you a different skill back if she has one. That's a May. Trish has got +1 luck. I don't think we're going to do that. That's a you may. So Trish is not going to do that. So that encounter will go back in the deck. Agnes will then be having, we blew past Carolyn in the Arkham Encounter phase because of course she's in another dimension. Agnes is at the Black Cave, which once again takes the purple deck. We'll be seeing Carolyn shortly when we get into the Otherworld Encounter phase. All right, here's Agnes's encounter at the Black Cave. You agree to map out the caves for the local land grant office. Pass a speed -2 check to find 2 stolen goods. Speed checks are at a -1 penalty. All right, Agnes right now has a speed of 3. Would be minus... So that would be a straight -3 check, which means she wouldn't be able to even roll a die at this unless I spend a clue, and I don't think I want to do that. So we're going to let that encounter pass. Once again, kind of ducking bad stuff. Anyway, that will do it for Agnes. That will do it for the Arkham Encounter phase. Otherworld Encounter phase next normally would get blown through, except Carolyn is kind of yelling at me saying, hey, I'm down here in another dimension. So let's go say hello to Carolyn. It is a little bit of a reach getting around this table, so I may try to position stuff a little bit differently, but we need a card off the top. Let me move the dice tower just for a second so you can see. The Otherworld gate, the gate cards are going to be divided into colors based on the color of the card. So based on each Otherworld will have a different configuration of colors. In the case of another dimension, we can take any color, so it's just one off the top. Which a blue will do nicely for. Then we'll check the gates to see if the world is present on here. Yuggoth, Celiano, so we go to other. Make a fight -2 check. Carolyn's fight is 2. I could roll a die. I could spend a clue to get a die at this, but I don't think I'm going to worry about that. So we don't scale the sheer cliff. If we fail, lose a stamina. Not really that terribly punishing in the grand scheme of things. That's it for Carolyn. That's it for the Otherworld encounter phase. Now let's move back up top for the Mythos phase. Next card from the Deck of Doom says, oh boy, Agnes is now getting pulled through a gate. But I am going to pay attention to the Dragon's Eye now that I remember that I've got it. So let's see where Agnes is getting pulled through to. Lurker Gate, Agnes is getting pulled through. To the Abyss, oh fun. -2, -3 because of the Lurker. If that icon means that we fail to close it, it gets a Doom, we put a Doom on Azathoth's Doom track. So Agnes will get pulled through to the Abyss. We'll get 2 Doom tokens, one to remind me Agnes got pulled through, another for Azathoth's track. Then we'll draw for the... do we want to use the Dragon's Eye for that? I don't think we need to worry about that. Because we actually will have a reasonable chance to close that gate, since Agnes also has clues. So we'll draw a monster to go with it. We have a Proto-Shoggoth, bordered in red, which means it's a fast monster, so it'll move 2 spaces when it does move. -2 to try to sneak past. Physical resistance. The thing roiled and bubbled malignantly as it poured down the street towards us, eyes appearing and vanishing in its skin as it came. +0 on the horror check, lose 2 sanity. +0 on the combat check, lose 2 health. 3 toughness to kill it. That thing is annoying. Then the clue would appear at Hibbs' Roadhouse, except there's a gate there. We do need a Reckoning card for this one. So Reckoning card here says, terrible realization. Each investigator with a blood pact loses 2 sanity, except nobody has a blood pact. Hexagon moves on white, slash, triangle, and star move on black. None of those are on the board. And the text. Church group reclaims Southside. Headline. All monsters in the Southside streets or locations are returned to the cup. Except there's nothing in Southside right now, so that card doesn't do anything for us. That's it for the Mythos phase. First player moves over to Carolyn, and with that, we are going to start a new upkeep phase. On upkeep, Carolyn could restore a sanity, but she's already full up on sanity. All she's doing is moving over to the second half of another dimension. I don't want her lore to go up high until I'm ready to come out and close the gate. So I'm going to leave Carolyn's stat line as is. That will do it for Carolyn. Now let's move over to Trish. First thing we do is deal with Trish's breaking the limits, or abnormal focus. So now we move everything over to the left. Where do I want Trish to move this turn? She's down at the science building. Do we want to... Trying to gobble up some of these clues wouldn't be a terrible... Trying to keep gobbling up some of these clues in the other half of the board wouldn't be a terrible idea. Like getting down to the woods if we can would be great. There could be something to be said for going to the Silver Twilight Lodge. Let's go to the woods. So for that, we need to boost her speed up to 4, which is 3 of our shifts. We're going to go 4, 5. We'll do it like that. That's it for Trish. Now let's go say hello to Agnes. We're still not refreshing Summon the Inner Beast, but we will use the Healing Stone to give Agnes 1 sanity back. Not drop the 1 sanity, Phoenix. There's her sanity. Agnes' turn will be super eventful, similar to Carolyn. She'll stand up in the abyss. That will do it for Agnes. We'll leave her stat lines as is. That'll do it for Agnes. Let's move over to Jenny. Upkeep phase. You guys know the drill by now. So what is Jenny doing this upkeep phase? I think she needs clues right now, so I think she's going to go to the Unvisited Isle and gobble up the clue there. So her speed is just fine for that. If anything, I can probably take that down a little bit just in case I get a sneak check in there. But that will do it for Jenny. That'll do it for the upkeep phase. Movement phase, let's go deal with our Otherworld ladies first. Once again, understand that I'm doing this a little bit out of sequence, but nothing's going to impact anything. I'm doing it for the sake of the shot. Once again, the turn is going to be a little bit out of sequence, but not terribly, and nothing's going to be impacted anyway. So Carolyn is first. She moves over to the second half of another dimension. Agnes would be third, actually, with Trish going before Agnes, but Agnes stands up in the abyss once I remember to take the doom off of her. That's it for Agnes. That's it for our Otherworld ladies. Now let's move over to Trish and Jenny. Now I'm back off the table, so you guys can tell me if you notice a difference from the shot here. It's actually a little bit easier to move around I'm off the personal table with the camera now, so it's a little bit easier to move and get to the big table. Anyway, I'm rambling on that. Trish technically would be going second, so she's going to move 1 to the Miskatonic University streets, 2 to Uptown streets, 3 to the woods, and grab the clue there. Remember, speed is still reduced by 1 because it is still raining way too hard in Arkham. As for Jenny, she's moving into the Unvisited Isle to grab the clue there, and that's her first one. That will do it for Trish and Jenny. That'll do it for the movement phase. Arkham Encounter phase next, and I wonder if I can get all 4 of them in shot with the Dice Tower. Let me find out. But let's go into the Arkham Encounter phase, and we'll say hello first to Trish. I'm having a hard enough time getting Jenny and Trish in shot without having to try to tip the camera to get Agnes and Carolyn in shot as well, so I'm not going to bother with that. We blow through Carolyn, of course, because she's in another world encounter phase. We'll be coming back to her and Agnes in the other world encounter phase. But Trish needs the red deck for her encounter. So we'll give this a shuffle. And a cut. And Trish's encounter at the woods says, the Sheldon gang needs someone to distribute the product from their hidden still. Make a sneak -1 check. Trish's sneak is 4, -1 is 3. And we've got 2 passes in there. If you pass, you gain $3 and may search the common item deck card for the whiskey card and take it. Nice. All right, so Trish goes up to $7 with that. And she gets the whiskey. Nice and easy to find. We'll give the common item deck a shuffle. It's not going to be a great shuffle because it's also kind of hard to handle off camera with so many cards, but I am giving it a normal shuffle. And a cut. And we'll take a look at the whiskey. In any phase, we can discard the whiskey to reduce any stamina loss by 1. Okay, and Trish is up to $7, so I'm going to trade in 5 of these singles to get a 5 back. And then Jenny is at the unvisited isle, so once I put the red deck back, not wanting to be cooperative this morning. There we go. Now we're going for the green deck. All right, and the unvisited isle for Jenny says, you come across a large pile of human bones under the boughs of one of the willows on the isle. Lose 1 sanity, but find a scroll among the bones. Draw 1 spell. I think we can deal with that. Let's see what spell Jenny finds, and now I need to pay attention. Does either... Oh, no, actually, Collectors is with Carolyn and... No, never mind, I did that right. Let's see, okay. Yeah, Collectors is with Carolyn and Trish. Okay, just had to make sure I had that straight. So Jenny will find... Plumb the Void, oh wow. Casting modifier +0, sanity cost 2, magical spell, movement, cast and discard while in Arkham. Move 1 investigator in Otherworlds to any location with a gate matching her Otherworld. She receives an explored token or to your location. What would her lore top out at? Her lore would top out at 4. Ooh, that could be useful, actually. So cast and discard while in Arkham. Yeah, that could be very helpful. Okay, yeah, that'll be very useful. We can use that to potentially rip somebody out of another world, but that will do it for Jenny. That'll do it for the Arkham Encounter phase. We also bypassed Agnes for the same reason we bypassed Carolyn during the Arkham Encounter phase. Otherworld Encounter phase next, and that situation is going to be reversed, but let's go say hello first to Carolyn. We can actually get both Carolyn and Agnes along with a dice tower in shot. Once again, Carolyn wants 1 from the top. She will find green and other. Pass a luck -1 check to find the gate back. If so, well, actually, pass a luck -1 check. Her luck is 3 -1 is 2. This is a rare check that I actually hope I fail, and I'll explain why I hope I fail this. I'll explain why I hope I fail this after the test is over. So I do pass. Actually, Carolyn... Yeah, I don't think there's anything we can do about that. So Carolyn... Actually, this is probably fine. So Carolyn will pass. She'll move to... So she immediately returns to Arkham with an Explore token. She'll go to Independence Square. Now, you're probably wondering, Phoenix Knight, why did you hope you failed that check? Why did you hope to fail that check? The reason I was hoping to fail that check was because if I came out now, I would have to deal with the monster. That's why I went to Independence Square, because the cultist is going to be a lot easier to deal with. Whereas if I came out as normal during the movement phase, then I wouldn't have to deal with the monster during the Arkham Encounter phase. I could focus on closing the gate. So that's why I was preferring to fail that check. Anyway, Agnes is now in the Abyss. She needs a red or a blue card. Green is no good. Yellow, still no good. Yellow, still no good. Blue, and we have other, because we don't have the Abyss. Luck is with you. You stumble on a cache of supplies. Draw one common item. Nice. Let's see what Agnes finds here. She finds... Oh my! Shotgun. +4 to combat checks. Any phase. When using shotgun for combat, all 6s rolled count as 2 successes. That is awesome. Okay, never mind what I said about luck there. Okay, so I'm very happy to see that for obvious reasons. Actually, now getting Agnes together with somebody wouldn't be a terrible idea. Now we're very stockpiled on firepower. But that will do it for Agnes. That will do it for the Otherworld Encounter phase. After Carolyn, we blew past Trish because she's in Arkham. After Agnes, we blew past Jenny, so we're done with the Otherworld Encounter phase. Now let's move back up top for the Mythos phase. Card from the Deck of Doom says, it's finally done raining. Gate opens at the woods, and Trish is now getting pulled through. What did I do with the gate bag? Gate bag is back here. Paying attention to the Dragon Eye. Okay. We've got a Lurker Gate, which says, City of the Great Race. -1 because of Lurker, Triangle Gate, and if we fail, a monster is spawned. So Trish moves through to the City of the Great Race. And we need a monster to go with it, along with another Doom token on Azathoth's track. And we'll draw a Reckoning card once we get the monster out. Oh boy. We get a Witch, which is a circle monster, -1 to sneak past. Magical resistance. So what that means is, anytime you've got a magical weapon, you only get half of the ability from that. Immunity would give you nothing from magical. Same thing with physical, but with physical weapons. She was lovely and terrible all at once. A strange light shone in her eyes as she chanted, "Ya, ya, Shubni Gudath, the goat with 1,000 young." No horror check. -3 on the combat check or lose 2 health, 1 toughness to kill. That goes to the woods. Square and Diamond move on white, circle on black. So the Witch moves out to Uptown. And then Diamond says the Proto-Shoggoth is moving on white, so 1, 2 to the French Hill Streets, the Elder Thing moving out to Easttown. Clue appears at Independence Square, except it doesn't because there's a gate there. So you actually do the gate, then the clue, but of course there's a gate there, so no clue can appear. Then monster movement. Now we go through the event. Heat wave, environment, weather. Fight checks in Arkham are made at a -1 penalty. Lore checks in Arkham are made at a +1 bonus. And fire vampires have their toughness increased by 1. After all that rain, it is going to be hot and humid in Arkham, which you'd think would be fitting for a summer day, but it's actually pretty nice down here, aside from the sun coming out. And, well, fortunately I'm inside, because we know the Daystar does dreadful things to my doughy ghost-like complexion, and I like trying to protect that whenever I can. Anyway, that minor ramble aside, Trish is our first player, so now we're going to move into a new upkeep phase, and let's go say hello first to Trish. Trish's turn once again will be super eventful. She will be standing up in the city of the Great Race. Actually, we also move her sliders over. I think now I still want her speed and luck up as high as they can go, because luck gets tested a fair amount in the other worlds. We'll go 4 and 5. So that'll be it for Trish. Now let's go say hello to Agnes. Agnes's turn is going to be super eventful. She's moving into the second half of the Abyss, and I'm going to leave her current state as is. Inner Beast is not being... Some of the Beast Within is not being refreshed, but I think everything's good there. So let's move over to Jenny. And Jenny's going to go try to take out that Elder thing, even though we're making fight checks in Arkham at a -1 penalty. So in order to be able to get to the Easttown streets, Jenny is going to have to bump her speed up to 3. Let's see, what do I want to give her for this to start with? We'll start with the... I definitely don't want the Athame right away. Actually, upkeep phase. I almost forgot, kids. Jenny gains $1. Let's see, so I want the Kerosene and I think the Golden Sword of Yahatala. So we'll roleplay it that we're dousing the Golden Sword in Kerosene to try to make it a little bit easier to take out the Elder thing. We're definitely going to have a lot of firepower at that. Anyway, that will do it for Jenny. Now let's move over to Carolyn. This is where that past luck check at the end of during Carolyn's Otherworld encounter is going to become a small problem, because now we have to deal with that cultist. But that cultist is basically nothing, so I think we'll be fine with that. However, we are going to succumb to the ever-present temptation at the start of the turn to accept the aid of the Lurker, the Threshold, and Carolyn is going to take a Soul Pact. Once I find what I did... here we go. Soul Pact. Here we are. Okay. So when you gain a Soul Pact, restore your sanity to full. Any phase. While this card is refreshed, anytime you would gain any amount of sanity, you may instead gain that amount of power. You may spend a power token as either a clue token or as a stamina when you suffer a stamina loss. On upkeep, exhaust Soul Pact and lose X sanity to gain X power. So we're immediately going to drain that for 5 sanity to give her 5 power tokens. Now, remember how I mentioned during Carolyn's personal story about clue tokens? Even though these power tokens can be spent as clue tokens, and there's the 5 of them. Oop. There's the 5 power tokens. So even though they can be spent as clue tokens, they actually don't count as clue tokens, so Carolyn won't fail her personal story. That's to make sure I've got a few rerolls, so I can A, try to kill the cultist, or more hopefully B, try to close and seal the gate at Independence Square. And then Psychology will trigger to give Carolyn another sanity back. Let's see, since fight checks are being made at a -1 penalty, I'm going to use 1 focus to bump her lore, and then another to bump her fight will up to 3-2. Because I want to have her fight stat as high as I can get it. Anyway, that's it for Carolyn. That's it for the upkeep phase. Let's go into the movement phase next, and we'll go say hello first to our Otherworld ladies. No need to shortcut shots in the movement phase, because both of Trish and Agnes's movement phases are going to have one thing in common. Blink, and you miss them. Wow, super eventful movement phases for Trish and Agnes, huh? Well, what say we move up to Jenny and Carolyn for what I hope will be much more eventful movement phases. While Carolyn's going to be busy practicing her quick draw skills on the cultist, Jenny's dousing the golden sword of Yahatala in some kerosene. She'll move down 1 to the Merchant District streets, 2 to Rivertown streets, and 3 to the Easttown streets, where she's going to encounter the Elder Thing and try to fight that. She's a -3 on the horror check, which she will have a single die at that. Reroll the 6. Hopefully we don't lose 2 sanity, but I can deal with losing 2 sanity pretty easily. Which is a 5, so no need for that. Now Jenny will turn to her kerosene doused sword of golden sword of Yahatala. So she's going to exhaust it to gain a +4 to the check. Golden sword is another +5, which is 9. +2 for Jenny's base fight is 11. +0 is still 11, so we need 2 successes to take this thing out. 3, 6, 9, 11. We need 2 successes to take this Elder Thing out. And we somehow didn't take it out. That's annoying. We will spend a clue, though, for a reroll. See if we can get another success to take it out. And we can. Elder Thing, go bye-bye. That becomes our first monster trophy with a toughness of 2. I'm actually going to put it that side up, so I know what my monster trophies are. That's it for Jenny. Carolyn's now got to fight this cultist. So no horror check there. +1 on the combat check. She'll use her 357. Oh, we should have rolled that at a -1 penalty. Hold on. So hold on a second. Jenny does not have the monster trophy yet. I forgot it was a -1 penalty. So that should be 10 dice. She still has her clue for the time being. So hold on a second, folks. I almost forgot the heat wave made it at a -1 penalty. Still, hopefully the same result. We'll still spend a clue. And we'll still get the same result. Okay, so never mind. Once I remembered to make the fight check, Jenny still takes it as a monster trophy. Okay, Carolyn has no horror check on hers. We'll put our 6s in the cup. In the dice cup. All of those can come out. And then Carolyn's 357 Magnum gives her 5. +3 is 8. +1 is 9. -1 is 8. And we need 1 success. So that's going to be 7, 8. Come on, Carolyn. Let's have this. You've been working on your quick draw skills. Let's see how good they are. Plenty good enough. That cultist was apparently a terrible shot, fortunately for Carolyn. So that will do it for Carolyn. That will do it for the movement phase. Arkham Encounter phase, and we've got both Jenny and Carolyn in shot, so let's move in. We, of course, blow past Trish and Agnes because they're both in the Otherworld encounter phase, so we'll be coming back to them. Jenny's encounter phase, Arkham encounter phase, is super short. She's in the streets, wondering what encounter phase. And Carolyn will actually be trying to close another dimension gate. So that's it's effectively a -1 because of Lurker at the threshold, but because of the heat wave, we're making the lore check at a +1 bonus. So Carolyn still gets her 5 dice like normal. So we'll put 5 dice in the cup. We do have enough clues to seal the gate, and we've got rerolls. Rerolls not needed. Carolyn will claim that as a trophy. Square monsters come off the board, except we don't have any square monsters on the board. We do not. Okay, so that can go to Carolyn as a gate trophy. And then she'll spend her 3 clue tokens and 2 of her power as clue tokens to get our first handy dandy little blue seal on the board. Let's get that focusing in. There's our first blue seal going up at Independence Square. Very nicely done, Carolyn. We're 1/6 of the way home. Hopefully Agnes can make that a third of the way home on the next round. But in order to find out about that, we need to go say hello to Trish and Agnes in the Otherworld encounter phase. Trish in the City of the Great Race needs a green or a yellow card. That's a green, and we've got other. You come across a slaughtered creature. Pass a luck -1 check. Trish's luck is a 3, -1 is 2. Give me that 6. There's a 5. To claim a monster trophy from the cup, even if it's endless, and gain two clue tokens. I just did it again. So while I'm going through and pulling out the monster trophy, let me talk a little bit about endless. It seems like a good time to pull that out. So if you encounter an endless monster in combat, normally you'd have to return it to the bag after you defeat it, unless an effect lets you ignore that, such as this does, or the petrifying solution that we saw earlier lets you do. So our monster trophy for Trish. Ooh, this is a good one to get a Shuggoth with a 3 toughness trophy. I am not sorry at all to see that come out of the bag as a trophy. And then Agnes can make a +1 on her check in the Abyss, which she needs a red or a blue card for that. That's a red, and we've got the Abyss. Uh-oh. You grope blindly in the darkness, desperately avoiding razor-sharp shards of stone. Make a luck +1 check. Lose 4 stamina, reduced by 1 per success. Agnes's luck right now is 1. +1 from the card is a 2. She's going to exhaust World Ain't Big Enough for us, since that specifies either you or your partner is in an Otherworld location. Agnes is in an Otherworld location, so she's going to get 3 dice. Fortunately, she's got a maximum of 6 stamina, so even if she fails all 3 of these out, she won't get lost in time and space. But let's see what happens here. Agnes loses 2 stamina, which is not the worst thing in the world. Because remember, her maximum right now, thanks to Inner Beast, is 6. Believe me, there's a lot more catastrophic things that could have happened on those cards. Anyway, that's it for Agnes. That's it for the Otherworld encounter phase. Of course, Jenny and Carolyn, not in another world. So let's move back up top for the Mythos phase. I was starting to crunch some numbers to see if I could win the game this turn, but I don't think I can. Let's see what comes out of the Deck of Doom, though. We have another environment. Oh, joy. Okay, a clue, or gate appears at the unnameable. So we need the gate bag. It's a regular gate, so we're going to Relay. Uh-oh. -3 gate, -4 because of Lurker. It's a cross gate. It's a plus gate. So let's see what monster comes out, and we'll need a Reckoning for Azathoth. That will have a Child of the Goat guarding it, -3 to sneak past Hexagon monster. Child of the Goat is treated as a cultist. If you fail a combat check or evade check against Child of the Goat, you're delayed. No horror check, +1 on the combat check, 1 toughness to kill that. I wonder. The only problem here is that, well, I'm kind of getting a little bit ahead of myself. Clue appears at the woods, except there's nothing there. Except there's a gate there already. Plus moves on white, moon moves on black, but we have none of those on the board. Alright, our heat wave goes away, and now no one can help us. Environment mystic. Gates cannot be sealed, although they can still be closed. Alright, so that's our new environment coming out. We're now into a new round. Agnes is our first player, so now let's move in to the upkeep phase. Hold on, we need a reckoning for the gate first. So we will find Traveler of the Paths. Each investigator with 2 or more dark pacts must immediately return all of her gate trophies face down to the bottom of the pile of gate markers. Except the only one who hasn't got a dark pact right now is Carolyn with her soul pact. That will do it for the Mythos phase. Now let's move over to the upkeep phase where Agnes is waiting for us as our first player. Agnes is getting ready to come out of the Abyss Gate. I was thinking about a pact, but now with that environment card in play, taking a pact now doesn't make any sense. So Agnes's lore is up as high as it can go, so that's what I'm going to use to try to close the Abyss Gate. The clues right now are for rerolls. Unfortunately, the hexagon would take the Child of the Goat off the board, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. The only problem right now is I've got 4 gates on the board. 3 more would wake Azathoth up, so I want to try to keep gates under control. But again, Agnes with a 6 lore, even on a -3, should be able to close the Abyss with few problems. Anyway, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself on that. Yeah, so we're all set with Agnes there. I'm going to leave her stat sliders as is. That'll do it for Agnes. Now let's move over to Jenny. Normally the upkeep phase mantra with Jenny would be, upkeep phase, Jenny gains $1. But since she used the kerosene, the upkeep mantra this time is, upkeep phase, Jenny spends her trust fund $1 to refresh the kerosene. So I'm going to shortcut that by not taking the $1 to instead refresh kerosene. Let's see. We're closing at least the Abyss this turn. Where is Jenny going? Jenny, I think, is going... Actually, can we get Carolyn into another dimension? And I think the answer there is if I bump her speed up... Yep, we can get Carolyn to Hibbs's Roadhouse. So I think we're going to send Jenny over toward Relay. The only thing I don't like about that is if Jenny fails the check against the Child of the Goat, the combat check, she's delayed. Although that's only a 1 toughness she needs to kill. Yeah, that would only be 1 toughness. So I'm not too worried about Jenny failing that. The question is, can I get everybody... I don't think I like that plan too much. I don't think I like the plan of trying to go for the win here, or set up for it, because we'd have to get... Basically, we'd have to spend 2 turns in gates and not have any new gates open, which is not that likely, although we do have a seal on Independence Square, which is not completely helpful, but also not completely unhelpful either. So basically, we'd have to draw either 2 gates in a row, either 2 Independence Square cards in a row, or, well, I was about to say, it would probably have to be 2 Independence Square cards in a row as a best-case scenario. So I think a better idea might actually be... Maybe do I go try to kill that Proto-Shoggoth and keep that? No, that thing is going to be a beast. I probably could, though. Oh, I should have... Actually, technically, the Golden Sword of Yahad-Tala should have exhausted. So, no problems there, though, because we did kill the Elder thing. So where do I want to send Jenny? Do I want to send her to Relay? So her lore and her fight... Actually, no, that's a bad idea, because her lore and fight both top out at 4, and the relay gate's automatically going to be a -4 because of the lurker. So that's actually a bad idea. I'd rather send either Carolyn or Agnes or an Elder Sign in there. Which I think... So I think what she's going to do is she is going to try to go kill... What is she going to do right now? I still want to be able to pass that cursed sphere over to Carolyn before too long. So I think the way we're going to do that... I don't like the idea of having to daisy chain trade, but we might have to here. I think Jenny... You know what? I think Jenny is actually going to go try to kill... It's got physical resistance, so we need magical for that. I think Jenny's going to use the... I think we are going to have Jenny try to kill that Proto-Shoggoth. We can use the Cursed Sphere for a turn to get the... We can use the Cursed Sphere to get the check we need to get the extra skill value we need for that. So that's what we'll do. We'll go ahead and have Jenny try to kill that Proto-Shoggoth this turn. Is it night? I don't think it's nightmarish. No, it's not nightmarish. So that will do it for Jenny. I'm kind of rambling. Now let's move over to Carolyn. Carolyn will refresh her Soul Pact, and then spend $1 to refresh her 357 Magnum. So where is Carolyn going this round? I think I want Carolyn... I think I do want Carolyn to jump in that another dimension gate as well. So I'm going to bump her speed up to 3. I'd like to keep the gates somewhat under control, and that's a fairly easy gate for us to get a hold of. So that will do it for... That will do it for Carolyn. So let's go say hello next to Trish. Actually, yep, we had to bump her speed up. Okay, so let's go say hello to Trish. World ain't big enough for refreshes for Trish and Agnes. Trish is... We deal with her abnormal focus first. She's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, her usual configuration. Especially when we're in an otherworld, as I want her luck to be fairly high, since that gets tested a lot. Trish is moving to the second half of another dimension, or not another dimension, City of the Great Race. Carolyn is moving into another dimension this turn. Anyway, that will do it for the upkeep phase. Let's move into the movement phase, and we'll say hello first to Agnes. We can get everybody along with the tower and shot. Agnes moving first, she will move out to the Black Cave and get an Explore token there. Jenny, I'll move the tower for a second. We'll move 1 to the Rivertown streets, 2 to the French Hill streets, and she'll fight this Proto-Shoggoth. So we'll start off with her will of 4. She needs 1 success to not lose 2 sanity. She's all clear there, and I want all of those successes. Because now we're going to spend insanity for the Cursed Sphere, along with exhausting the Sword of Yahat-Tala. So we're getting 2 for base fight, plus 6, plus 5 is 13. That's a plus 0, and we need 3 successes to kill this Proto-Shoggoth. Alright. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay. We need 3 successes to kill it. Come on, Jenny. And without rolling the extra die in there, but we'll go ahead and do that anyway, we get a whole mess of successes. So, Proto-Shoggoth goes toodaloo as well. Jenny takes that out. Carolyn is going to move 1 to Downtown Streets, 2 to Easttown Streets, 3 to Hibbs's Roadhouse, and go into another dimension. Trish moves over to the City of the Great Race. And that's it for the movement phase. Arkham Encounter phase next, and let's go say hello first to Agnes. I almost forgot, on an upkeep phase, Agnes could have recovered a stamina, so I will deal with that next. Speaking of Agnes, she has a lore of 6. -2 for the Abyss. Effectively, it's a -3 because of Lurker at the threshold if they shall break through again. So Agnes has 3 dice, and if we fail, we put a doom up on Azathoth. So let's not fail, Agnes. We don't fail. So the Abyss is closed, and since it is a hexagon gate, as we'll focus in. Come on. There we go. We can see it's a hexagon gate, so the child at the goat gets sucked back through, and that returns to the monster bag. We're also keeping monsters under control by dealing with gates in this way. So Agnes gets the Abyss as a trophy, as a gate trophy. Jenny has no encounter since she's in the French Hill streets. We'll be coming back to Carolyn as she gets pulled through to another dimension. Trish gets blown through since she's already in another world. So now let's move down to our otherworldly ladies, and we'll say hello first to Carolyn. Adjusting the camera just a little bit. Carolyn is in another dimension. She can take the first card off the top. So first card says... Alright, we've got yellow and other. Make a luck -2 check. Carolyn's luck right now is 2. Actually, we could spend a clue for that. Let's exhaust the lucky rabbit's foot to get a +1 to the check. To get a +1 to luck, which gives her 1 luck, which is a rubbish roll. We'll spend a power token. Actually, do we want to spend a power token as a clue? Yes, we will. We'll go 1 more, I think. Yes. And we'll fail it there. If we fail, we're delayed. So I'm still looking at ways I can potentially win the game in the next couple of rounds, and I might be able to make it work, but it's going to require a little bit of luck on my part. A little better luck than that. Trish needs a green or a yellow. She will find. That's a red, so that won't work. There's a yellow and other. A ripple in the air passes over you. Make a lore -1, pass a lore -1 check. Trish's lore right now is 3, -1 is 2. Yeah. Fail. Or lose 1 spell of your choice as it is burned from your mind. Joke's on you because Trish doesn't have any spells, so haha. With that, let's move back up top for the Mythos phase. Card from the Deck of Doom says, we've got a new gate coming out at the Witch House. So the Witch House clue will move over to the Black Cave and go right into Agnes's pocket. So we need a gate at the Witch House. We've got a lurker gate. These are usually more dangerous, so now we find Yuggoth. Plus is a -2, effectively -3. That infinite symbol means it's an infinite gate. So that won't go back. That we won't be able to claim that as a trophy. That's going to the Witch House. We need a Doom on Azathoth's track, so we're up to 6 now. We need a monster for that gate. So defending that gate is a deep one. Yellow or orange gates, like orange monsters like this being aquatic. It's a plus monster. It's +0 to sneak past. And yet I saw them in a limitless stream, flopping, hopping, croaking, bleeding, surging inhumanly through the special moonlight in a grotesque, malignant saraband of fantastic nightmare. -2 on the horror check or lose 2 sanity. -1 on the combat check or lose 2 health. 2 toughness to kill it. I already moved the clue to Agnes. Circle moves on white. Square and diamond move on black. So the witch right now is our only other monster on the board. That moves on white up to the Miskatonic University streets. Yep. Okay. And then gangs clean up Easttown. All monsters in the Easttown streets or locations are returned to the cup, except there's nothing there right now. Okay. We're not in a completely terrible situation right now. But yeah, first player is going to move over to Jenny once I go get said first player token, and then we'll be into a new upkeep phase. Upkeep phase, Jenny gets $1 and her weapons both refresh. As for what I want her to do this round, that's a good question. Killing that witch probably isn't that hard. Do I have another physical weapon? I've got a couple physical weapons I can use for that. And the witch has magical resistance. So I think... What to do? I'm probably sending Agnes to relay this turn, so... I don't know if I necessarily want to send Jenny to Yuggoth yet. Because the plan here is Carolyn's actually stuck in another dimension for another turn. The idea I had was I wanted to try to send Agnes in to relay, and then have Jenny immediately pull her out with Plumb the Void, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. There's actually no horror check on that witch, is there? No. So going to try to kill that might not be a terrible idea. Let's... Or getting her moving in Yuggoth wouldn't be a bad idea either. Because that'll get all of us looking at gates, and if we have 2 turns where we duck gates, then we could still have the potential to win the game. So I think we are going to gamble and send Jenny into Yuggoth. So, actually that's a minus... That would be effectively a -3 gate. So I think that's what we're going to do. We are going to send Jenny into Yuggoth. That way, like I said, we'll have all investigators looking at gates, and if we duck gates for 2 turns, which is not likely but possible, we can potentially win the game. So, I think everything here is just fine as is. I don't like that she's only got a single die, that she's only going to have a single die trying to close Yuggoth, but I don't think I can avoid that. Anyway, that will do it for Jenny. Now let's move over to Carolyn. And somebody's car alarm's going off. How fun. Anyway, Carolyn will gain a sanity thanks to her psychologist, or thanks to her psychology. We'll also refresh the lucky rabbit's foot. And then her turn's going to be super eventful. She'll be standing up in another dimension. I'm going to leave her stat lines as is. She'll be looking at a -1 to try to close another dimension when that pops. Anyway, that will do it for Carolyn. Now let's go say hello to Trish. Trish's sliders all move over to the left thanks to her thanks to her abnormal focus. And now since she's coming out of the gate at the woods, now I want to max out her gate closing ability. So her lore maxes out at 5, which is where that's going. City of the Great Race is effectively -1, thanks to the lurker at the threshold. Then we're going to go 4, 5, because why not? That will do it for Trish. Now let's move over to Agnes. Agnes has got enough stats right now to move in, has got enough speed as it is to move into relay. I could even bump her speed down to give her a little bit more sneak in there, which I think I'm going to go ahead and do. So I'll bump her speed sneak down to 2-2. The reason she'll have an extra movement point is because I'm not going to refresh Summon the Inner Beast. She's going to keep that as is. So she'll have 3 movement points, which will let her get into relay. And it'll give me a little bit more on sneak. I'll also bump her lore luck down to 5 too, so she's got some luck to play with on her movement phase, or on her encounters, just in case. Anyway, that will do it for Agnes. That'll do it for the upkeep phase. Let's go to the movement phase next, and we'll start off with Jenny. Once again, we'll focus on our 2 Arkham ladies first. Jenny's turn will take her into the Witch House, where she's going to fight the Deep One. Let's flip that over. And we see it's a -2 on the horror check, or she loses 2 sanity, which we can deal with that. So Jenny's got 2 dice at this, which she's all clear on with flying colors, and I want both of those successes. We are going to start off with the Golden Sword of Yahad-Talah and the Kerosene, since soaking that worked so well against the Proto-Shoggoth. Probably a little overkill, but I'd rather have overkill than underkill here. So she's got a 2, plus 4 for the Kerosene is 6, plus 5 is 11, minus 1 is 10. And we need 2 successes to take out that Deep One. And we apparently seem to have Jenny the Barbarian today, because she just took out her 3rd monster of the game. And she's the only one so far doing any kind of combat. We'll blow through Carolyn and Trish, but we'll come back to them in a second. So understand that they'd actually be going 2nd and 3rd, but nothing Agnes is doing is going to impact them anyway. So Agnes will move 1 to Easttown streets, 2 to the Merchant District streets, 3 to the Unnameable, and going into Relay. Speaking of Carolyn and Trish, let's move down to them next. Movement phases for Carolyn and Trish will have one thing in common. Once again, blink, and you miss them. Carolyn stood up in another dimension, and Trish moves out to the woods with an Explore token. That will do it for Carolyn and Trish. That'll do it for the movement phase. Arkham Encounter phase next, and let's say hello first to Jenny. Jenny is moving up to Yuggoth on her Arkham Encounter phase. We blow past Carolyn since she's already in another dimension. Trish is trying to close the gate at the woods. Her lore is a 5, effectively -1 because of Lurker is a 4, so she gets 4 dice. I want these successes. And we'll see if Trish can close the gate at the woods. Remember, we still can't seal it because of our environment card. But we can close the gate at the woods, so very nicely done there, Trish. And any triangle monsters would come off the board. Our only monster right now is the Witch, which is decidedly not a triangle. Agnes will then move to the twisted corners of Dark Relay. That will do it for the Arkham Encounter phase. Now we're going to have a busy Otherworld Encounter phase. Let's go say hello first to Jenny. Jenny's in Yuggoth. She needs a blue or a yellow card. Red is no good. Yellow, and we have other. A monster appears from the shadows. Oh, delightful. Well, we still have a lot of firepower toward this. So let's see what comes out of the shadows for Jenny. Ooh, we have a Dark Young coming out. -2 to sneak past. That's a hexagon monster. Physical resistance and nightmarish 1. Uh-oh. Horror check +0 or lose 3 sanity. -1 combat check or lose 3 health, 3 toughness to kill it. Physical resistance and nightmarish 1. So nightmarish means even if she passes the horror check, she would still lose 1 sanity from that. We have physical resistance that we're dealing with, so we'll need the Cursed Sphere for that. And the Athame. Actually, do we try to sneak past this? This is a -2 to sneak past. Her sneak right now is a 1, so we're gonna have to fight this thing. We can survive the horror check though, which is also a 4 right now. So we want these. I want these 3 6s. That is a straight +0, thankfully. And we've got more than enough successes in there to pass that. All right, then I want the 5s and the 6s again. Okay, so here we get 2 for that, plus 1 from the Athame. You would cut it in half and round up. So we still get the 1 from the Athame, which is a +1, so 3. Plus we're going to exhaust the Cursed Sphere and spend a sanity for that. To get +6 is going to be a 10. What's that going to be? So 2, 3, 6 is 9, -1 is 8. Unfortunately, we need 3 successes and we've got no clues to throw at this. So Jenny, we've got to have this right here. Actually, wait a second. Do we... +1 to sneak checks? Okay, so that's to avoid being delayed, so that won't help us. All right, we've got to have 3 successes right here, Jenny. Come on. We need this. And we get 4 successes, so Jenny should have lost a sanity from the Nightmarish 1 anyway, but fortunately we do kill the Dark Young, so Jenny should be at 2 sanity right now, which is not somewhere I like her being, but there's no help for that. And yes, Jenny the Barbarian strikes once again. So now Carolyn can have 1 off the top for another dimension, so let's see what she draws. Alright, we have Other. Pass a fight -2 check. Carolyn's fight is probably not that good. It's actually 3, so she's got -2. She gets a single die at this, and I want the 6. Nicely done, Carolyn. Wow. Okay. To lever back the lid of the stone chest, inside you find $8. Woohoo! That will put Carolyn up to $14, which would be 1 short of going to clear her personal story, or potentially getting us some serious firepower if we go shopping. Anyway, that's it for Carolyn. Let's move over to Agnes next. Agnes in Relay needs a red or yellow card, so let's see what comes up here. We find yellow, and we have Other. You stare into the face of madness. Oh boy. Roll a die for each point of sanity you have. Lose a sanity for each die that does not roll a success. If you don't go insane, gain 1 clue token for each die that rolled a success. Uh-oh. Agnes has got 3 sanity right now, and I want 3 successes for this. So we lose 1 sanity for each point that we don't roll a success. And then we gain a clue token for each success. Alright, so we lose 2 sanity, but we gain a clue token. That's not somewhere I want Agnes to be right now, although she's got the healing stone. So we've got a little bit of mitigation for that. Anyway, that will do it for Agnes. That will do it for the Otherworld encounter phase. Let's move back up top for the Mythos phase. One gate in the next 2 turns means this gamble did not pay off. Let's see what we draw here. Gate in the Woods, which is pulling Trish straight through. Oh, fun. So we're going to get a Doom on Azathoth's track. And then we'll see where Trish is going. Trish is going to a normal gate. We saw what it was, but she's going to the Dreamlands, which is +1, effectively a 0 gate. And it's a slash gate, so Trish is going to the Dreamlands. We'll get her a delayed marker. But we need a monster to go with it. See if we can find something nice and easy. And that's a fire vampire. +0 to sneak past, star monster. Ambush and physical immunity. 1,000 tiny fires the size of match flames swept from the night sky. The old man was suddenly radiant with light. No horror check, -2 on the combat check or lose 2 health, 1 toughness to kill it. And then we need a reckoning for that, we will find. The Legacy of Madness. Oh no. Each investigator with a soul pact is devoured. The new investigator chosen to replace her starts with a soul pact and 3 power tokens in addition to her other fixed possessions. Oh, great. So there goes our ability to weaponize the soul pact because Carolyn just got devoured. Joy, joy. Okay, so we're going to have to deal with that. We're going to have to deal with that here. Let's go through the rest of the card, though. Clue appears at the Historical Society, so now we need to get somebody down there to try to gobble up those 2 clues. Hexagon moves on white. Slash, triangle, and star move on black. So I did forget to mention the fire vampire is actually a blue-bordered monster, which means it's a flying monster. So the way flying monsters work is they'll move out to the streets, see nobody's there, and then move up to the sky. When they move later, they'll move a little bit differently. So strange lights on campus. The library, administration building, and science building are all closed until the end of next turn. Leave this card in play until then to indicate this. Okay, so bear with me as I get a new investigator to replace poor Carolyn. Carolyn's replacement is also our first player this round, Vincent Lee, the doctor. Physician. It's basically psychology, but for stamina, so I'm not going to bother going through that. Fixed possessions, $9, and a clue token, so he's actually at 4 effectively, because he also came in with a soul pact, if you remember the Reckoning card that devoured Carolyn. So let's look at his random possessions. First up is 2 common items. He has a flamethrower. Oh wow. Physical weapon. Exhaust in any phase before making a combat check to gain +7 to that check. And Ancient Tome, movement. Exhaust and spend 2 movement points to make a lore -1 check. If you pass, draw 1 spell and discard Ancient Tome. If you fail, nothing happens. And our spells, first up. Call the Azure Flame, casting modifier +1, sanity cost 1. Upkeep, you may cast an exhaust to take an Azure Flame special card. If this card is exhausted at the start of your upkeep phase, you may pay 1 sanity to keep it from refreshing. That would have been good for poor Carolyn. Next up, for her spells, Flesh Ward, casting modifier -2, sanity cost 1. Cast an exhaust to ignore all stamina loss being dealt to you from one source. Discard this card if the Ancient One awakens. And our skill is Bravery. Any phase, exhaust to reroll a horror check. I'm not going to give Vincent the extra possession per the house rule from the Summer of Lovecraft. I went back and forth on that off camera as I was setting Vincent up, but the reason I'm not going to do that, the reason I'm not giving him the extra possession is because he wasn't there to see the win for the team in Eldritch Horror. So it doesn't make sense to me to give him the possession on the house rule from the Summer of Lovecraft. You guys can feel free to weigh in on the comment section down below if you disagree, but that's how I'm going to rule it. And his personal story, I checked this as well. If he came in with this failed, I wasn't going to give it to him. Also a house rule. Although such a matter would normally be left up to the public, Vincent felt that he owed it to his patients to track down the source of the strange deaths in Arkham. To sit back and do nothing was simply too foreign to his way of thinking. He just had to be careful and call the authorities if things got too hot to handle. And then his conditions. Do no harm. Pass. If Vincent discards 5 clue tokens in a street area during the upkeep phase, place the Doctor's Inn in play. Fail. If Vincent has 3 or more monster trophies, place What Have I Done in play. Now I can set his sliders wherever I want them, and I do want to have him go get those 2 clues from the Historical Society so I can protect Trish's personal story. So I'm going to set his speed sneak at a 3-2, because I'll need that from St. Mary's Hospital to get to the Historical Society. As for his other stats, we'll go 2-2 on Fight Will, and 3-3 on Lore Luck. That's it for Vincent. Now let's go say hello to Trish. I should also mention that Vincent and Trish will not be coming in with relationship cards. Vincent won't come in with any relationships, so we don't have a relationship with Jenny or with Trish. Anyway, Trish now deals with her abnormal focus. We're going to set her speed and luck up as high as they can go. We'll go 3-2 on Lore Will and 2-4 on Fight Sneak. Mostly to keep protecting her in the Dreamland, since she got pulled through there. That's it for Trish. Now let's go up to say hello to Agnes. Agnes will use the Healing Stone to recover a sanity, because I don't like her being at 1 sanity in another world. Then she'll leave her sliders, I think, as is. She's moving into the second half of Relay. That's it for Agnes. Now let's go say hello to Jenny. Since we use the kerosene, the upkeep mantra with the kerosene comes into play. So upkeep phase, Jenny spends her trust fund dollar to refresh the kerosene along with her other weapons. Jenny is moving into the second half of Yuggoth. And I think that's where we're at there. So that will do it for the upkeep phase. Let's move into the movement phase, and we'll go say hello first to Vincent. Vincent's got his walking shoes on because he's going for a walk. Action 3 to Uptown Streets. Action 2 to Southside Streets. Action 3 to the Historical Society. He'll grab those 2 clues. So now he's got 6, which means he can either clear his personal story or get a negate. We'll see what we decide to do during the upkeep phase. That's it for Vincent. Now let's go say hello to our otherworldly ladies. When it comes to what I call otherworldly movement phases, say it with me, kids. Blink, and you miss it. Jenny and Agnes moved into the second half of their respective otherworlds, Relay and Yuggoth, and Trish stood up in the first half of the Dreamlands. That will do it for the movement phase. Let's go into the Arkham Encounter phase next, and we'll go say hello to Vincent. We need the Southside deck for Vincent at the Historical Society, so we'll give this a quick shuffle. And a cut. And there's the Historical Society, so let's see what that says for Vincent. You find a painting of your grandparents wearing strange occult pendants. You may search the skill deck for the expert occultist or lore card and take it. But if you do so, you must take the tainted card. Well, we've done a great job of dodging any blessings or curses for Trish, so Vincent's also going to take a tainted card. I think there's another one available. There is. Actually, it's a little bit different. So his is different, where when you receive this card, discard a blessing if you have one. Upkeep. When rolling to determine whether or not you keep a curse, you must roll twice and take the worst of the 2 results. Discard if you're blessed. So let's see which one we want of the expert occultist or lore. There's a straight +1 lore. Or what's expert occultist? Any phase of gust to reroll a spell check? I think we'll take the straight lore. Especially with the lurker at the threshold being active, and his lore tops out at 5. So now it actually tops out at 6. So he's another option that we can potentially send in to the more difficult gates as well. So we've seen other similar skills like this, where it's once again +1 lore, and when you spend a clue token to add to a lore check, add 1 extra bonus die. So now Vincent's got that along with the tainted condition. We'll blow through the ladies because they're all in another world in the Arkham Encounter phase. But now that we're at the other world encounter phase, now we skip Vincent and we move down to the ladies. Trish is up first. She will take 1 off the top in the Dreamlands. Alright, we don't have anything there. The insanity of this place finally hits you. Lose 1 sanity. Worst thing that could have happened there, I can guarantee you that. Agnes is in relay. She needs a red or a yellow. That's a red. Uh-oh. We've got relay. The shadow tries to force its way between your lips. Pass a fight -2 check. Agnes's fight is 2. -2. She's going to exhaust. The world ain't big enough for us to get a +1 on the check. Come on, Agnes. Let's be having this. Not what I had in mind remotely, Agnes. We will spend a clue for a reroll. There we go. I did see the penalty, which is, well, I kind of cheated a little bit on that. What did I do with the card right here? And avoid bad stuff. Jenny is still in Yuggoth. She needs a blue or a yellow card. She will find. Green is no good. Green, still no good. Blue, and we have Yuggoth. Exposure and fear weaken your mind. Pass a will -2 check. Jenny's will is 4, -2 is 2. Give me that 6. And a 5. And we got no clues, so we fail that. Or you must either lose 2 spells of your choice or 2 sanity. Oh, Jenny would... Oh, no. That's a problem. Because I was planning on using Plumb the Void. Either lose 2 spells or 2 sanity. And unfortunately, if I lose the 2 sanity, Jenny's going to be lost in time and space. So I think I have to give up... As much as I don't want to, I have to give up Markings of Isis and Plumb the Void. Because I was going to try to use Plumb the Void to try to cheese this and win the game, but I can't have Jenny being lost in time and space. I'm already behind where I wanted to be as it is, especially with another gate coming out. Anyway, that will do it for Jenny. That will do it for the Otherworld Encounter phase. Let's move back up top for the Mythos phase. Strange Lights on Campus can go away. We need a new card from the Deck of Doom, though, we find. Oh, fun. Alright, so the Witch House already has a gate on it, which means we have a Monster Surge. So we have... Okay, so we get 4 new monsters. So 1 to each gate. We'll go to the Witch House first. The Witch House is getting a crawling one. Oh, fun. -1 to sneak past a circle monster. Physical resistance. Before making a combat check against crawling one, roll a die. X is equal to the result of the die roll, which will affect the combat check or you lose 2 health. Before that, you got a -3 horror check or lose 3 sanity. 1 toughness to kill that. That's going to the Witch House. Then we'll go to the Woods next. The Woods gets a Priest of Dagon, -2 to sneak past, plus monster. Magical immunity. As I saw them, I knew also of what that humped tiaraed priest in the Black Church basement had fearsomely reminded me. -2 on both horror and combat checks, lose 2 sanity and stamina respectively, 2 toughness to kill it. Then moving up to the unnameable next. We pull out a ghost. -3 to sneak past, moon monster. Physical immunity and undead. -2 on the horror check, lose 2 stamina if you fail. -3 on the combat check, lose 2 stamina, 1 toughness to kill it. And then moving to Hibbs's Roadhouse. Yellow also for the ghost means it's immobile. I did forget to mention that. A formless spawn, which is a hexagon monster, +0 to sneak past. Physical immunity, oh fun. From the darkened alley, a patch of darkness seemed to detach itself, curling along the bricks and rising to block our path. -1 on the horror check, lose 2 sanity. -2 on the combat check, lose 2 stamina, 2 toughness to kill that. Then coming back to this, clue appears at the Black Cave, which won't go into anybody's pocket for a change. Then moon moves on white, plus moves on black. Our only moon monster is the ghost, so that doesn't move, but we have 2 pluses. The Priest of Dagon. Thought we had another one. Oh no, we have a relay, but Agnes is coming out of a relay this turn. Okay, so... Right, now we get to the event. Terror at the train station, headline. A rusty train arrives in Arkham, disgorging 2 monsters into the north side streets. Well... the board was starting to look a little bit light, I guess. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 will go to the north side streets. The other will go to the outskirts. Actually, I take that back. Both of these are going to the outskirts. I forgot we've got the fire vampire in the sky. So, actually, the monster limit's 7. 1, 2, 3, 4... Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, 7. Okay. So, 1 is going to the north side streets. The other is going to the outskirts. So going to the north side streets, we have Amigo, -2 monster, -2 to sneak past, circle monster. If you pass a combat check against Amigo, return it to the box and draw 1 unique item. -1 or lose 2 sanity on the horror check, +0 lose 1 health on the combat check, 1 toughness to kill it. And then we'll see what's going into the outskirts. I'm not going to go through this monster other than, hey, here's what it is. We've got a goat spawn, so that's going into the outskirts. That will do it for another round. Trish is our first player, so let's move into a new upkeep phase. This is going to be the last round of this video. There will be a part 2 probably tomorrow, I'm thinking. So we're going to try to get this part. So I'll get this part uploaded, but no, there will be a part 2 coming. So Trish, we're going to shortcut her abnormal focus, and we're just going to leave her sliders as is. So technically, they would all move to the left, but I'm going to move them back in the exact same combination that I've got here. Trish is moving into the second half of the Dreamlands. So a very uneventful turn for Trish. Let's move up to Agnes next. Here's a plan B that we're going to go with. If I get another investigator devoured this round, then we're going to house, and I'm going to call it, for the sake of the video, that we're going to take the loss in the Summer of Lovecraft, and normal penalties will be in effect. So we'll start down 1 and 1 in Elder Sign. Anyway, Agnes is coming out of relay. I need her lore up as high as I can get it. So she's going up to a 6 lore, so I can try to close the gate. I still can't seal it, though, because we've got No One Can Help You Now still active. So the reroll, if nothing else, is going to be for trying to close the gate, and then we've got the Priest of Dagon that could come off the board if we manage to close Relay. Also, World Ain't Big Enough for Us refreshes, and I may use that as well to try to help me seal the gate. That will do it for Agnes. Let's move over to Jenny. Also, before we get to our mantra with Jenny, Agnes will use the Healing Stone to heal a sanity. Now, say it with me, kids. Upkeep phase, Jenny gets $1. Now, what is she doing? She's coming out of Yuggoth this turn, so she's going to move her Lore Luck up to 4, because I can get that high enough to at least have a die at trying to close the gate. The question is, do I want to try to get any rerolls? And I think with the crawling one there, I'm not liking the idea of taking a Soul Pact and trying to drain it for rerolls, especially when next turn. Actually, no, I take that back. If Jenny closes the gate, the crawling one would go back to the bag. So maybe I do take a Soul Pact and go for some rerolls, although Soul Pact is how I just got Carolyn devoured. But yeah, I think we're going to risk it. So I think Jenny is going to take a Soul Pact. Once I find, here we go, I was going to say, once I find what I did with the Soul Pacts. Alright, so we know Vincent's got a Soul Pact, so we're not going to go through it again. We're going to drain that for 2 sanity to get 2 power tokens. That way I have a couple of rerolls at trying to close the gate, because I really want to make sure that clears. And I've got the telescope if I need to try to get past the crawling one later, but I'd rather close the gate and have the crawling one come off the board that way. That will do it for Jenny. Now let's move down to Vincent. Vincent, I think, is going to go ahead and clear his personal story. So he's going to move, so he's going to set up to do that during the upkeep phase. The question is, where do I want him to end up, though? He can't get up to the north side streets for the Migo. Actually, I think having him end up in a street area is probably a pretty bad idea. So, that would pull a fire vampire down to him, which is physical immunity. Okay, yeah, that's actually a pretty bad idea. If I want anybody in the streets, I'd rather have somebody that's got magical firepower that can deal with the fire vampire. So I think Vincent, for now, is going to... We don't know anywhere that's got 2 clues, so we don't need to worry about losing any of those. Let's actually just move him up to the Silver Twilight Lodge so I can grab the clue there. That will do it for Vincent. That'll do it for the upkeep phase. Movement phase next, and let's go say hello to... Actually, all 3 of our otherworldly ladies will be going in sequence. Trish's movement phase, least eventful of the 3. Agnes and Jenny, however, are getting Explore tokens. Agnes will move up to the Unnameable and get an Explore token. She's going to have a ghost there to deal with on her next turn, though. Jenny will move up to the Witch House, where she'll also get an Explore token. That will do it for the otherworldly ladies. Let's go say hello next to Vincent. Vincent will move 1 to the Southside Streets, 2 to French Hill Streets, and 3 to the Silver Twilight Lodge. Grab the clue there. That will do it for Vincent. That'll do it for the movement phase. Arkham Encounter phase, we're going to blow through Agnes, Jenny. Actually, no, I take that back. We're not blowing through Agnes, Jenny, and through Trish, Agnes, and Jenny. We are blowing through Trish since she is still in the Dreamlands. We are going to move down to Agnes, though, who's got a relay gate to try to close. Relay is, of course, a -3, effectively a -4 gate because of the lurker at the threshold. Agnes's lore is a 6, so she's got 2 dice at this, but she's got a lot of rerolls. Come on, Agnes, let's have this. I said, let's have this, Agnes. We'll spend a clue for a reroll. And we'll get it that time. Very nicely done, Agnes. So Relay goes to Agnes as a gate trophy. Plus monsters come off the board, so that loses us the Priest of Dagon back into the monster bag. Very nicely done for Agnes there. Jenny, however, has to deal with Yuggoth, and that's a -2, effectively -3. She's going to use her lore to try to close it. Jenny has a single die at this and 2 rerolls, so I want the 5 for this. Once we've got 2 power tokens, which I would be spending as clues. Still, let's have this, Jenny. Starting to spend power. Spending 1. And closing Yuggoth. Which means Yuggoth will go back into the gate bag. The crawling one goes back into the monster bag. Unfortunately, Jenny doesn't get to keep Yuggoth as a gate trophy because it's an infinite gate. And we still don't have the clues to try to seal a gate. We will need the blue deck for Vincent as he's at the Silver Twilight Lodge. So we've got that right here. We'll give that a quick shuffle. And a cut. That power was spent for Jenny to close the gate at the Witch House and Vincent's encounter at the Silver Twilight Lodge. You want to see what we're really about then? If you accept the Order's invitation, you are introduced to the Black Man. Make a luck +0 check. Uh-oh. Alright, let's try it. His luck is a 3. So we definitely want the 6. And we pass. Once it decides to refocus, make a luck +0 check to avoid bad stuff. If you pass, take a Silver Twilight Lodge membership card, and gain 2 clue tokens. We'll grab the silver, which is not there. It's probably in the stack with the bank loans. Here we are. Silver Twilight Lodge membership says, whenever you have an encounter at the Silver Twilight Lodge, you have an encounter at the Inner Sanctum instead. And Vincent gets 2 clues with that. So very nicely done, Vincent. That will do it for the Arkham Encounter phase because Trish is still in the Dreamlands. So now let's move into the Otherworld Encounter phase, and we'll go say hello to the aforementioned Trish Scarborough. Trish can take the first card off the top. She's in the Dreamlands. Blue, and we've got Dreamlands. You drink impure water from the River Craw. Pass a luck -1 check. Trish's luck is a 3, -1 is 2. And we've got clues for days. We've also... we're not going to re-roll that. We will exhaust the world ain't big enough, though, to get an extra die into this. And we'll pass. To avoid bad stuff. Okay, cool. Alright, that's it for the Otherworld Encounter phase. Now let's move back up top for the Mythos phase. Alright, card from the Deck of Doom says... Oh, thank you. The Unvisited Isle is going to get a gate, though, which is unfortunate. So let's see where this one's going to be taking us. Let's bring it up flat side out. It's a lurker gate, so we are going... Oh, good thing we didn't have anybody there, because that's back to relay again. And when this gate opens, if anybody had been there, they would have been devoured. Thankfully, we got nobody there, which would have also caused us to take that loss in this game of the Summer of Lovecraft. So let's see what happens when we draw for a monster. I put the Doom token up on Azathoth. We'll need a Reckoning in a minute. We've got another Elder thing coming out. We saw Jenny kill one of these earlier. We may need Jenny the Barbarian once again. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself there. Clue will appear at the Science Building. Alright. And then Plus moves on white. Moon moves on black, which our only moon monster is the Ghost, but he's immobile. And Agnes is going to have to deal with him next turn. She may have a little bit of a harder time with that, though, because the Chill of the Grave is an environment mystic and increases all undead monsters' toughness by 1, which, of course, we can see the Ghost is undead. At least No One Can Help You Now is gone. That card can eat a giant one, but we need a Reckoning first. So let's see what we've got here. We will find Debt Comes Due. For each 3 power possessed by the investigators as a group, add 1 Doom token to the Doom track, round down. We possess a total of 3 power. Thanks, Vincent, in your soul pack that you came in with. So that puts another Doom on Azathoth. That puts us up to 9 Doom. Having that environment card really has hurt us in the course of this game, but that is going to do it for part 1 of this game. Part 2, I don't know when part 2 is going to be going up. It's probably going to be going up... Actually, I might stream that, if for no other reason than to show you guys why anything in the Arkham files is going to be absolutely terrible streaming content. I don't know yet, but I'm playing around with scheduling on that. So that might be a stream tomorrow. I don't know yet. But there will be a part 2 to this game, because it is far from over. Now that we've got the no seals coming off the board, now we should be able to start getting some seals on the board. We're not in a terrible position, but Agnes has got to deal with that. Agnes has got to deal with that Ghost on her turn. Fortunately, I think she is well tooled to do that. So that will be where we start. And actually, Agnes will be our first player when we come back to this. So thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.